College football 25 is by far the most anticipated football game in the last 10 years. So, with that being said, the most anticipated game mode needs to be dissected and broke down so you guys can know what will be in this game and how to build up your teams to greatness. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Dominating Impulse, and we will get started on Dynasty Mode. So, the basics. You'll be able to go to 30 years deep into each dynasty. Like the old games, you will now have the ability to control 32 user teams. That's 32 friends, both online and offline. This will not be available for crossplay, but y'all know how they did with Madden. Eventually, they led up to it, but like I say, we haven't had this in 10 years. So let's just make sure all the kinks and the glitches are ironed out the game. They also brought back the ability to start your career as an offensive or defensive coordinator, as well as the head coach. The word that they really wanted to harp on was making the game sandbox, where gamers have the chance to make whatever they want. They seem to be delivering on this basically with all the details and the breakdowns and the analyzations I've seen of other creators who've actually got to fly out and play the game. Custom conferences are also back, but with more depth than ever before. Not only can you move teams around, but you can change conference rules, create custom protected opponents. That means if you went to the SEC and you wanted to have a 9-game season where the conference championship being at said home field, you can do that. This is going to change the dynamic of neutral sites and home field advantage. This is literally making college football how you want, and I love it. Like I said, 10 years. We waited 10 years. Custom schedules are also back, but your conference games are locked in on your schedule each year and cannot be moved around. The reasoning is because these games are the actual schedule rotations provided by the conferences going into the future, and their goal is to provide an authentic experience as possible. They also went deeper into assure annual matchups fall on the correct date, so rivalries are going to be played on the week they are planned and scheduled in real life. The schedules will also feature non-conference games that were already agreed to, which means those games that we laugh at about being on the schedule in 2032, when it's time for you to get to that point, they're still going to be on the schedule. All good dynasties have a couple things built on them. Great coaching. This is where your skills and your team go to the next level. Skill trees and archetypes. When building out your coach, you will select one of 3 archetypes: motivator, recruiter, or tactician. Each of those will come with different strengths and weaknesses within the 11 skill trees each coach will gain attributes in. You will not be able to max out all skill trees in this version of the game, as it is a departure from NCAA 14 where you would max out your recruiting, then you would go max out your game management skills. Instead, you'll have to figure out the most important to you and build your coach accordingly, gaining boosts in some area but having weaknesses in other. The goal of the game at every level is to make sure decisions you make throughout matter and have a lasting impact. Coaching carousel, staff hiring and firing. The coaching carousel is back, and you get offers based on your reputation and performance as both a coordinator and a head coach. A new wrinkle that many fans have wanted is the ability to hire and fire members of your staff. Your coordinators will also have skill trees, which means you can choose to have coordinators that will fill in gaps of your skill tree as a head coach, giving you balance but not big boosts. Or you can hire like-minded coaches that will unlock the highest level of boost in those areas. You also can fire staff members and going into the coaching carousel, either trying to poach them from other programs, or you can hit the free agent pool and just go grab someone. Now, every coach has a talent tree. With that being said, every coach has players that they like, has specialties in recruiting, things like that. So if you fire such a guy, just like in real life, you might lose him to a transfer portal. I always felt like the best part about Dynasty Mode was the recruiting and trying to win over players to your program. So this is where it starts to get a little rich. Welcome to 2024, ladies and gentlemen. Each year will feature 4,000 prospects, with 32 earning a 5-star status. Pitch grades will also return in those analyses of the players, with 14 in total, including proximity to home, playing time, sending players to the NFL, and brand exposure, where many recruits will have deal breakers, so they're not even thinking about coming to the middle of nowhere. We don't care who you are, how much money you giving us, how much playing time you giving us. If you do not meet any of the criteria, you're not even going to make the list. Athletes are back, and they can play 1, 2, or 3 positions. It also will let you know what your team needs and positional needs are in the recruiting screen, as well as which players are at risk of transferring. The transfer portal is also on the same screen, but it won't be open until the offseason. We're going to touch on that in a bit. The recruiting process, as they worded it, is a combination of some greatest hits, some rolled back features, some points that the fans wanted, and a new point-based system. The transfer portal will be open after the early signing period, and it will be part of the off-season process. So it's a shorthand process compared to high school recruiting. The process and the portal selection tab you can toggle from the recruiting screen using L1 or R1. Service academies can use the portal, unlike in real life, as can Clemson, which Dabo Swinney would surely not like. You will have to manage your off-season recruiting hours for both the portal and the remaining of your high school recruiting, just like in real life. Players who are close to landing in high school will remember when they were recruited by you, and if they enter the portal, they have a better chance of coming to your program. You can also encourage your own players to enter the portal to clear up roster space if they're not getting enough playing time. They're also bringing back off-season where you can step up to pursue players not going to the NFL to go to the portal with a very, 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 very low and very moderate risk of stopping the guy from leaving your school. If he wants to be gone, hey, he's gone. Players will enter the portal based on a number of factors, most notably how you're doing and holding up your end of your bargain when you recruited them. For example, if you land a recruit based on playing time and he don't touch the field, he's good as gone. He is at risk to enter the portal. Throughout the year, it will let you know who is at risk and who will be coming up to talk to your program or transfer into your program. So even though these guys have gotten paid, there is no NIL in Dynasty Mode, and they have a pretty good reason for that. When developing the game, NIL was done by the collectives, and it wasn't legally something the coaches in the school controlled. Beyond that, given how quickly things have changed with NIL, they didn't want to put something in the game that was outdatedly as quickly as it was built. The point got enforced when the NCAA settlement allowed schools to pay their players to come down in a few hours after the presentation of the game even coming back. So maybe in 26 or 27, we might get the NIL deal implicated into the game. Also, with that being said, player editing was made clear that you will be very limited with what you can do with editing players compared to the old NCAA games. Remember, they're getting paid. This is their likeness. Because players in this year games are actually the guys that you see on the field. If you didn't know, if you weren't there, you don't have to make the roster names anymore. So it won't be like Team Builder. You're going to probably add bands. You can probably add gear and stuff like that. But other than that, there will be very limited editing you can do to players. Rivalries. Check this out. College football is all built on rivalries. Rivalry games, they are the bread and butter of college football. When the appropriate name at every level, for example, Georgia, Georgia State, Georgia Southern, modern day, hey, if your rivalry game has a trophy, that trophy is in this game. It is authentic. It is real. And they're probably going to do some type of celebration where you can fill your trophy case, just like in the old games of getting every school's rivalry. Notre Dame and USC, you know what I'm saying? Minnesota and Wisconsin, the list goes on and on. Check this out. Again, these players are getting paid. There is going to be no exporting of the draft class. This is because players are actually real deal. This isn't any made up Johnny from Iowa who's the likeness of Carson Palmer, you know what I'm saying? Like, these players are getting paid, and I just think they have to really sit down and make a deal with the NFLPA, with Fanatics, with a couple different people to get everybody, you know, taken care of financially before we can get export drafting back into the game. Listen, this Dynasty Mode is not going to be perfect at all, but we haven't got it in 10 years. They're going to take away some of the stuff that we think should be in here, and they're going to give us a lot of the stuff they be wanting and we've been crying and we've been screaming for. I think this game is going to create a conversation on why they don't want to make Madden better, but that's for a whole nother video. So to wrap this video up, Dynasty Mode, the bread and butter of college football. I am so excited. I think we are going to be locked in, custom conferences, custom groups, conversations. The Gator Nation will rise back if you rock with SEC, or you can go with the Big 12, or the Pac-12 doesn't exist anymore. So shout out to the Big 10. There's so many options. There's so many conversations, man. And this is just going to be one of many videos featured around this game in the next coming days and weeks. Till next time, King of the Podcast, Casual Gamer. If you watched up until this point, please hit that notification bell, hit that subscribe, like the video. If it was trash, tell me that shit was trash in the comments. The only thing we can do is reload the chamber to come get better. We be back. We out.